You become the person that has all the answers. Pride started to creep in. I was doing something noble, like taking care of people.
Dr. Matt Moreland was doing his residency at a local hospital. It was a stressful job that demanded most of his time.
It takes a toll on even people around you, your family and your friends, because really, even when you're away from work, you're not really there.
His wife, Sarah, was prepared for the long hours he spent at the hospital.
This was a part of the job description, so I was fully aware of it. The single parenting was the hard part.
The couple had 2 small children, and they became the main focus of her life. She and Matt spent little time together, or as a family. And in time, they drifted further apart.
We had gotten to the place where even when he was home, I would be in one room doing my own thing, and he would be in his room, you know, doing something else. There wasn't fighting because there wasn't communication.
Matt developed relationships with his coworkers at this hospital, and one woman in particular. They began flirting and spending time together.
I enjoyed being pursued. I enjoyed the feeding that I was getting from my ego and my pride.
Both Matt and Sarah had grown up in church, but he admits that the busier he got, the less time he spent with God.
Things that we tend to struggle with become much more enticing, things like lust.
The coworkers flirted 4 or 5 months before the relationship turned physical.
I distinctly remember the moment when I was walking away thinking, how did this happen? How in the world did I get to this point? It was a very nauseating and disgusting feeling. And you would think that that would be enough to say stop.
But it wasn't enough to make him stop the illicit relationship.
I can honestly say during that time that I loved my wife. And I remember distinctly in moments where I was being unfaithful, thinking at that moment, this is not right. I should not be doing this.
After 9 months of an on-again, off-again affair, Matt couldn't take the guilt anymore. He turned to God, desperate for a way out.
I'd been fighting the Lord and fighting it, and all of a sudden it was like the Lord was just standing there with his open arms, and I prayed, if you want me to say anything to Sarah about this, please let me know. Make it happen before we go to bed.
That night, they watched a movie, then got ready for bed.
I walked out of the bathroom and I just looked at him and said, is there anything going on with this person? And it took him a while. I mean, he took him a while to answer, but that's when, you know, he came out and told me everything that had gone on.
They were up all night as Matt confessed his unfaithfulness to Sarah.
It's like everything in her life was crashing down. It was a mix of anger, it was a mix of hurt, it was actually a mix of, there was definitely some love in there.
I did a lot of talking, I did a lot of crying. He knew he had hurt me. He knew that I was broken because of this. And he knew that his actions had been the cause of all of that.
Matt's brokenness over his sin encouraged Sarah that they could try to rebuild their family.
He had been led down a path that forever changed us, but that who he was and who the person I married was still there and was still my best friend. And I wanted to regain that.
The Morelands began spending more time together and went for Christian counseling.
I think until you're in a situation like this, something similar, where you are faced with the choice of I can harbor all of this anger and grief and rage and let it destroy me, or I can choose to forgive.
I'm still amazed that she trusts me. Trust is not something that is either there or not there. It's a process, and we're continuing on that process of building more and more and more trust.
Matt and Sarah realized the importance of recommitting their lives and their relationship to the Lord.
Just ask the Lord. Say, I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how to do it. You're going to have to do this for me. And when I finally did that, it allowed me to step out of that and to step out of it fully, not just temporarily.
This whole experience has grown my faith tremendously. I believe, I think I believed before, but I really believe in a God who is in the business of restoration, and he wants to restore us. That's his heart, and that's where his heart is that he knows that we're a lost people. He knows that we make mistakes, but he wants to rebuild that, and he wants to rebuild it with his vision in mind.